Hey folks, welcome to Unqualified, the fantasy football podcast that's been again searching for its fearless producer, Rob Diesendorf. Not here. Where'd he go?
Rob?
Rob's not coming? Yeah, so we're without our producer, at least for the intro. Hopefully he'll join in a little bit, but probably has another business trip. I don't even know what he's doing. He's so busy.
He travels for business.
He travels. He's pretty cool.
It actually is pretty cool. He's like, where is he right now? Chicago or something?
I think it's actually awesome. And then he's going on a big trip for like 3 weeks in a couple weeks. Don't worry, peeps, you cuties. We'll still have episodes, but it might just be our sweet, sultry voices without Rob in the beginning. But anyway, this episode is a Week 5 preview. So Week 4 is in the books. We're about a third of the way done with the regular season. Can you believe that?
Wow. Crazy.
If you want to think about it that way. Yeah, it's insane. It's usually 13 weeks in the regular season. We're already 4 in. So for you math wizards out there, I know you're an English teacher, Sean, but for your math wizards, it's about 9 weeks left.
Just enough time to screw it up.
That's about right. Yep, I just did it on my calculator. So this episode, again, we're going to talk about Week 5 preview, but same format as a couple of weeks previous. We're going to talk about primetime games, then quick hitters, which are shitty games, then interesting matchups. Still don't have a name. We're going to workshop that. And then game of the week contenders as well. So same sort of thing. Let's talk about teams on bye in Week 5. These byes are starting early, but we have the Bears and Bucks on bye. So we wanted to quickly talk about them before we get into the primetime matchups. But Bears, what do you think of Tariq Cohen showing up big against the Bucks on Sunday, Sean?
I mean, you know I love Tariq Cohen. I want to just throw this out there, though. If you're in a league and somebody in your league picked up Mitch Trubisky and played him this week, the odds are that person is a time traveler because no one else could see this coming. He had like 45 points this week, absolutely eviscerated whoever they played. I don't even know who they played because they were barely on the field. The Bears were just taking it to him.
The Bucks.
Yeah, the Bucks. Oh, so they played each other, and now they both take a break after that.
Yep.
Tariq Cohen is an absolute matchup nightmare. When they use him correctly, this is what's going to happen. I definitely like him as like a high-end flex play moving forward. He could definitely sneak his way into like that PPR RB2 discussion, kind of like Chris Thompson territory. But I'm a big Tariq Cohen guy, and you know that. The rest of the Bears, I mean, they probably had their best game of the year, I would say. But I don't know, with that offensive head coach, more of this could be on the way.
Yeah, and Allen Robinson, to me, only had 2 catches, 23 or 4 yards. He did have a touchdown, really good touchdown grab, but he's barely a wide receiver, too. He's more of a flex guy right now for me. The guy that I really like is Taylor Gabriel. Had 8 catches, I think, 7 catches, but he's getting targeted a ton. He's gotten a ton more targets than Allen Robinson, so speculative ad there. Let's talk about the Bucks. Some more speculative ads. O.J. Howard is out for 2 to 4 weeks with an MCL sprain, so Cameron Brate immediately comes into the tight end 1 discussion.
Yep.
He was on the field as soon as O.J. Howard went out for 25 of 38 pass plays. The guy throwing him the ball is now going to be Jameis Winston, which we can talk about that another time. That asshole taking over, but Fitzmagic clearly wore out like it always does. Winston is a sneaky QB2 stash for the upcoming weeks, so you pick him up. You're a savvy owner this week. Hopefully you already picked him up, and the off chance he would start. I know one of my buddies at work did that, which is completely savage move. And then Ronald Jones is making Peyton Barber pretty droppable. Ronald Jones didn't do anything with his carries, but had 10 carries and outtouched Peyton Barber, so pick him up as well.
Yeah, you got to kind of hope that the wide receiver core maintains or at least doesn't suffer too big of a drop-off from where they were the first couple weeks. I still like Deshaun Jackson as like a weekly boomer bust guy. I don't think Mike Evans takes too much of a hit. He's still, I think, like a low-end wide receiver 1. And, Chris Godwin with Jameis, I don't know. I mean, Jameis has shown a rapport with him in the past, but he's a guy that's probably going to be on your bench for the next couple weeks.
Yeah, only 2 catches, no touchdown. He had 3 weeks in a row with a touchdown, but nothing this past week. Hopefully the bye week they figure out their offensive woes. Offensive woes. You like that?
I love it. You like that?
You like that? Let's talk about record check-in. So, as I've stated before, I have 7 leagues, which amounts to 28 total games in the past 4 weeks. And I have a grand total of 20-8. So it could have easily been 21-7 if O.J. Howard didn't leave the game and I didn't lose by 0.6 points in one of my leagues.
I don't want to hear it, Scott. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, let's talk about our matchup. Well, really quick, John Brown on Sunday night was fantastic, but if he got one more catch, I would have won. And whatever, I'm not salty about it, but your record's looking pretty good. But I kind of spoiled it with a late.
You did. Oh my God!
By Patrick Mahomes.
So, so I definitely earned the W in the OG league. That basically the way things work.
By far,
I have Alvin Kamara in the OG league, and I beat you, and then you have him in Hoboken, and you beat me. However, that game, the Hoboken game, was much tighter than the other one. Pat Mahomes losing the game for me on that last second kneel. I lost by 0.1 based on that negative rush there.
That's like the worst way to lose. Let me just lay the groundwork really quick for our listeners. I was going to say viewers, but we don't have viewers. We have listeners. You cuties. Groundwork is, so I was done after Sunday night. So going into Monday night, Sean in our Hoboken Fantasy League had Pat Mahomes and Harrison Butker. Was down by about 29 points. So you 32. Do the math there. 32. Oh, sorry. You do the math. I didn't do the math there, but down by 32 points. Needed to combine 33 to win. It's 146.5 to 146.5 with 10 seconds left in the game. The Broncos turned the ball over on fourth down.
I knew it. Which was over.
Yeah, it was. We were texting the whole time too. It was a controversial call because I think it was a fumble, but they reversed it, and then it was just an incomplete pass or something like that because the guy tried to lateral it. The Chiefs get the ball with like 10 seconds left. Pat Mahomes takes a knee, loses 1 yard or 2 yards, and we have decimal points for our league. You lose by 0.1 points, and I got that beautiful thing this morning. No stack corrections. Your team defeated.
Yeah,
Panda Watch.
It happens.
Sorry,
it happens, and I'll be coming back strong. I actually am liking that team a lot more than I thought I would. So got some strong showings on my bench that I could have definitely made some different moves. However, we got to talk about Rob, even though he's not here. Another rough week, 0-2 this week, and he's moved now to 2-6. Again, don't forget, guys. He would be really mad if I didn't point this out. Rob beat me in week
People
1 or 2.
Don't forget.
So one of those 2 wins is against me. I'm sorry, Rob. We miss you. I had to point out that you beat me just to have you with us in spirit. But rough week, 0-2. He's now 2-6 on the year.
You're welcome for the shout out there, Rob. Have I played Rob yet? I think I played him once. Yeah, I don't know. Let's do quick bandwagon check-in. So I got Mahomes. He's insane. Showed grit in that fourth quarter. Only 1 touchdown, but he had a rushing touchdown finally. Locked in QB3 or top 3 QB. Royce Freeman had a touchdown and high yards per carry, but Phil Lindsay keeps on vulturing like just enough to be annoying. So you just got to think it's Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara, the poor man's version of both of those last year, circa 2017. So they both have value there. I think Freeman's more of a standard league, low end running back 2, probably more of a flex guy because he's not getting more than 10 touches a game. Then Lindsay's like a high end flex for PPR leagues. Devin Funchess did terribly this past week. I'm just kidding. They had a bye, so he had 0 catches. But,
I had no idea. I was like, did he? I guess.
Yeah, in our doc, I said he did terribly, and it was a dad joke, but it was a terrible dad joke. Anyway, Kyle Rudolph did pretty well, and looking like the third best target there. So bandwagon's looking pretty good. Wheels are turning.
Yeah, you're like trucking along slowly. I like it. And the Mahomes is like just got it. It's like the nitrous that you're hitting every once in a while.
Oh yeah.
For me, I made a great choice moving over to Jared Goff as my bandwagon quarterback. He is like a top 5 quarterback at the moment, and I don't see that changing. He's definitely someone that is probably out on way too many waiver wires right now. So when you do your pickups, you probably already did. Hopefully you double check that Jared Goff still wasn't out there. Should be owned, should be started almost every week. All systems go on Jared Goff. Dalvin Cook killed me.
Yikes.
Killed me. I only own him in 1 league,
Killed me
but
too.
I'm just holding on to hope. Like this week right now, he's in my bench spot right now because if there's any news about a pitch count again, I'm out for the week. But
yeah, me too.
I have hope that at some point this is gonna turn up. I know hamstrings kind of linger, and he's coming off the ACL, and obviously that's probably why he was a little bit like not right, and the hamstrings bothering him. But when he gets right, I promise you, don't be that guy that trades him away right before he explodes. It's coming. It may not even be next week. It might not be the week after. But at some point, this guy's going to start winning you some games. Josh Gordon definitely had a nice little like sighting or two out there. He like threw this amazing block on some rushing touchdown. And again, kind of starting to slowly win over his Patriots teammates. I think he, again, is more of a second half of the year guy, but he's someone that is definitely worth keeping and possibly trading for. Dallas Goedert, when you pick a tight end, you're going to have weeks like this, so it's just kind of how things go. Again, that Philly wide receiver and tight end pecking core is still being kind of set up. We don't know where Dallas Goedert falls, but the upside he's shown has been tremendous. So don't give up on him yet. Definitely keep an eye on him if he's on your waiver wire. You may not even need to pick him up yet, but he's a guy you're going to want to remember just on the off chance he explodes like he did a couple weeks ago.
So wheels are in motion.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Goff is leading the way. All right, let's not waste any time. Let's get right into these primetime games. On Thursday night, we have one of these matchups that for years was like game of the season contender. This year is a little bit better than it's been in years past, though. The Colts traveling to Foxborough to take on the Patriots. Andrew Luck, as long as he's kind of getting back into the swing of things, if he's slowly regaining his arm strength, this could be a really interesting game. The Patriots have not looked the same. Obviously, they usually have the Colts number, but I think this could be a very good game. Thursday night has been wildly entertaining so far this year. I'll throw it out there. Just keep that in mind. So
I agree. On
the Colts side, I think Luck is a QB1. Threw the ball 62 times last week. He had 4 touchdowns, over 450 yards. I mean, this is definitely more of the Colts we're used to seeing, and I'm very excited for it. The Patriots side, Sony Michel. Thank you, man. Thank you for giving us some semblance of like reality. We know now Sony Michel, I think, is like a high-end flex. He's honestly an RB2, but you probably don't need him to be that for your team. This guy is a guy you want in your lineups. Rest of the season, definitely I would say a top 15 running back, as long as he stays healthy and gets a decent amount of the rushing load. James White, still usable too, right? Especially in those PPR leagues. That's where he does most of his damage. So this game could be a really, really good game. What do you think?
Yeah, so the Patriots have a 7-game win streak against the Colts. Like they just had, like you said, they've had their number for years now. It was more entertaining when it was Brady versus Peyton, but to the GOATs. But yeah, I think on the Colts side, Nyheim Hines looks like the best option, especially in PPR. You got to keep in mind Robert Turbin is coming back from his suspension, and he's going to handle a significant rushing portion of those carries. But
that's such a boring guy.
He's such a boring. He's a steady Eddie kind of guy, but he's not even good. So Nyheim Hines is definitely the most explosive. I think he was a track star in college at NC State or something like that. And the Patriots give up 24 fantasy points per game to running backs, but only 1 rushing touchdown. So this bodes well for Hines in this game. I think he's a flex guy. Plug him in. And also check on T.Y. Hilton's health, but Ryan Grant is a sneaky pickup along with Chester Rogers in deeper leagues if Hilton sits. The Patriots have been susceptible to some deep shots this year. On the Patriots side, so Brady, you have to think he's going to shore it up, but he's on pace for 16 interceptions this year. And the last season he had double-digit interceptions was 2013. So I think he did well last week, but I think that's more of based on the matchup of the Dolphins than anything. He's more of a soft QB1, and I wouldn't fault you if you wanted to play like a Matt Stafford or definitely Andrew Luck over him. But yeah, I think James White is a really solid running back 2 in PPR leagues. Him and Michelle will have value at the same time. Don't be afraid of either one of them. Play both. And if you look at before their game with the Texans, the Colts were second best against wide receivers in fantasy points per game. So I know Edelman is coming back, but I would definitely temper expectations. And he hasn't played since January 1st, 2016. So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to what you said about TB12, last week I really had a tough decision. I was looking at Jared Goff on the waivers after like jumping on the bandwagon. I decided not to do that move, not to drop Tom Brady, just based on his pedigree, and I'm regretting it big time because I would much rather have Goff for the rest of the season. But you live and you learn. I'll probably miss out on Goff on waivers by the time this is posted. So whatever, just not going with what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I wouldn't like drop Tom Brady all of a sudden, but I would definitely bench him if you have a better option. If you have Luck, if you have Goff, one of those options, I would bench him for that.
All right, let's look at Sunday night game. We have the Cowboys at the Texans, the Battle of Texas, and this is much more boring than it should be with the amount of talent on both offenses. I mean, the coaching is not there for either team. I think obviously Zeke's a little banged up, but he's a must start. He's going to play. I would almost bet my house on it because it seemed like it was a minor injury, and he really came on in a big way. So as long as Dak is getting the ball to Zeke in the passing game like he did, it opens things up for him in the running game. Zeke is the only guy you're starting on the Cowboys. On the Texans side, Watson, he is what he is. He's a strong quarterback. One, he's got elite weapons, and especially against this Cowboy team, I don't even know how this game is going to go just based on the awful coaching on either side. But I like your typical stars, like the guys you're usually starting from these teams. You're plugging them in.
Yeah, and so another thing, the Texans finally snapped their 9-game losing streak last week against the Colts. It was a terrible call by their head coach Frank Reich. In overtime, they were in their own half of the end or half of the field. They went for it on 4th down in overtime for no good reason, and I don't even know if there's an explanation after the game. But Texans took advantage of that, so good for them. But QBs are this is a cool stat for you. QBs are 2-10-1 when they're sacked 7 times. In the past, I think season and a half or something like that, or against the Colts. I don't know what exactly the context was, but Watson was just sacked 7 times versus the Colts. So keep that in mind with the Cowboys pass rush to Demarcus Lawrence. That could put some pressure onto Deshaun Watson, and that could bode poorly for him, especially because the Cowboys like to slow the games down. Jeff Swaim is a sneaky tight end pickup with 6 targets on average for the past 2 games. So keep that name in mind. If you just lost Tyler Eifert, Jeff Swaim is a pretty good option for Dak. And on the Texans side, if Will Fuller can't go, he could have gone back into the game, the head coach said, but pick up Kiki Kuti.
What a name. Oh my God.
Elite name. 15 targets, 11 receptions, 109 yards in for that game against the Colts when Will Fuller was out. So Lamar Miller, I would worry about a little bit. This is a plus matchup, so you could get one good week out of him and then sell him high, but I'm not too convinced on him yet.
Yeah, I own Lamar Miller on a couple teams, and I'm not pleased. He just kind of is what he is, and honestly, I talked myself into the role. I figured with Watson it would help, but again, he's going to find himself onto my bench this week. Let's look at Monday night. This game should be a track meet, just as every game is for the Saints. I love this. Redskins going to the Superdome, taking on Drew Brees and the boys. This should be just at least 35-34, something like that. I don't know if the Redskins can keep pace, but the Saints should put up numbers here. Kamara, if we redrafted today, it's a legitimate debate whether you take him or Gurley overall, number 1. So obviously he's a plug-and-play, even with Ingram back. I'm excited about Ingram coming back. By the way, I think this goes back to what it was last year. I think we see a little bit less from Kamara, to the point where it's not going to affect your total outcome. A little bit less from Michael Thomas, and Ingram to get a little bit closer to where he was last year. I don't know if he'll be in RB1, but he's definitely an RB2 for me. And before we move on, I know we wanted to shorten this segment up, but can we talk about Taysom Hill? Have you seen this guy?
The guy's fucking awesome.
I think he's my favorite player this year. He is he literally has played.
He's fired up.
He's played quarterback. He's played tight end. He's blocked punts. I'm pretty sure they had him at linebacker. Maybe they didn't. Okay, he's a special teams ace. He drives the bus. He cooks the team a dinner when they get back home. Taysom Hill is a do-it-all guy. He is probably my favorite player this year. Just watching and saying, who the hell is that guy? It's literally I think Michael Thomas tweeted this out. It's literally like someone created a player in Madden and then just dropped him onto the Saints. This guy is incredible.
It's a faster Tim Tebow.
Big fan. Big fan of him. What do you think about the Saints, Scott?
Yeah, faster Tim Tebow, Taysom Hill. Even and more accurate. I don't know. It's just better. I think the Saints. So Mark Ingram played 80 more snaps than Kamara last year with 108 more carries. So I think the workload is going to get a little bit more even. Kamara, you might not see him get a 40-yard touchdown dash at the end of the game this year or this week because he won't get as many carries. So I think Ingram's a back-end running back 2 right now to start. Kamara is still a running back 1, maybe not a top 1 or 2 guy, but he's still insanely productive this year. Drew Brees, I know he had an off game this past week, but the Redskins don't have anything in the way of cornerbacks like the Giants even did with Janoris Jenkins. So plug Brees in. I think he's fine. Redskins, I think Chris Thompson over Adrian Peterson this week just due to game flow. AP is still high-end flex running back 2, but he's pretty inconsistent when he has off weeks, right? So not none of the wide receivers can be trusted. Jordan Reed is the only guy that you really want, and Chris Thompson, I think, is going to get a ton of catches this game in a lot of catch up.
All right, time for the quick hitters, and we're going true to form, rapid fire here. I almost said rapid style. Definitely going rapid fire here.
Same thing.
Titans at Bills. Okay. Corey Davis, what are you? Okay, I think he's a flex play after last week. Mariota might be like on his way back, but this Titans team is very weird, very interesting, a lot of intrigue, but nothing definite. So I'm very interested in what's going on with the Titans. I'm going to be watching closely this week. The Bills, don't even. I just traded LaShawn McCoy. Thank God I got rid of him.
Get rid of them all. Yep, clean house. Mariota, this is a bottom 10 defense against quarterbacks, the Bills, so he did have a rushing touchdown last week, which inflated his stats by like 10 points. So didn't do as well with his arm, but he elevates Corey Davis to a flex play for sure. He had like 15 targets. And then Tywan Taylor looks like a good second option with 9 targets. So speculative ad, especially in 12-14 team leagues.
Yeah, Deion Lewis, I think with Mariota running things there, I think Deion Lewis is much safer than Derrick Henry. So we'll see how that shakes out.
Wouldn't play Derrick Henry anymore.
Yeah, what a shame. That guy is he's sent from like another planet, but it's just not working out for him. All right, let's look at the Cardinals at the 49ers. This is just the bottom of the barrel here. Josh Rosen stepping in, very interesting. I'll be watching him. He makes David Johnson like better. Like David Johnson's like a lower end RB1 now, as opposed to like he was in RB2 territory for a while. But again, like I don't know. I'm still not thrilled with owning David Johnson, especially with where you drafted him. Larry Fitzgerald, I don't know. It's tough to trust anybody on the Cardinals. And then the Niners, you're talking about Kittle and Matt Breida, and literally that's it.
Yeah, you're not even talking about Alfred Morris anymore on the 49ers. Like I thought he could have some value, but this team isn't even going to be close in games. It doesn't seem like. And I think their quarterback just went out. CJ Beathard, I think they're starting another guy this week.
No way. Oh, that's brutal. I didn't even know that.
I don't know. Or they did. They played another quarterback. I don't know. It's just a fucking mess. Kittle, he's a mid-tier tight end one. He's not like a top 2 guy because he had a huge gain, like 70 yards against the Chargers, who their defense kind of sucks, the Chargers, except for Derwin James, the rookie. Matt Breida, fill him in. He's a flex guy. Yeah, and the Cardinals, David Johnson's the only guy you could trust. I think he's a high-end running back too, but yeah, you're not happy about the returns you're getting there.
Yeah, we're splitting hairs when you go low-end RB2, high-end low-end RB1, high-end RB2 anyway. So, again, usable, but he's not going to give you what you think, at least for now. Maybe if Rosen starts to come on, we'll see. All right, let's look at the Broncos at our beloved Jets. I don't know what the Broncos are anymore. They played very well.
Jets are.
They played pretty well on Monday night. I don't think any team's really been able to slow down the Chiefs yet, so that just bodes terribly for the Jets offense, honestly. I would probably stay away from all the running backs on the Jets. And Enunwa is probably the only guy you can trust on the Jets offense right now, and even he is like a flex guy, especially PPR. He's definitely better there. If you haven't cut Robbie Anderson already, it's time. Just to let it go. It's not whatever happened last year is not going to happen this year. Maybe next year. We'll see. On the Broncos, though, you love to break down that running back tandem. They're a lot of fun to watch. So let's be real. I really like Sanders as a wide receiver too, and this is like. Believe me, I know how weird that is, but they want to get him the ball. So this is not the Emmanuel Sanders that we've come to know and hate, right? He's definitely a little bit more of like that Golden Tate mode now. And honestly, I'm happy to see him come around.
Yeah, I'm not, but yeah, at least he's getting the ball more. Demaryius Thomas, I think, is almost droppable. Almost. He's on that kind of projection right now. Yeah, the Broncos, Case Keenum hasn't thrown a touchdown pass since he threw 3 in week 1 against the Seahawks. So not getting it done over the air. So Sanders, I think, is more of a flex guy because he's not getting any touchdowns because Case Keenum isn't throwing any touchdowns. And Case Keenum just played against the Chiefs, who are like one of the worst pass defenses. So I have no faith in this passing offense. But Philip Lindsay, Royce Freeman, we just mentioned them before. The Jets, Bilal Powell in deeper PPR leagues, I could see you starting him. He's a bench guy in standard leagues, and yeah, Enunwa is a solid PPR flex. He's on pace for 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns, but he's the only pass catcher. I'm not buying Jordan Leggett, however you pronounce his name, the tight end. He caught his first few catches of the year this past week, and a touchdown, but I'm not buying it.
All right, let's look at the Dolphins at the Bengals. These teams actually have good records, but I don't know, fantasy-wise, you're not getting a lot from the Dolphins. Kenny Stills is your classic boomer bust guy. He hasn't been as good as he was last year, he was kind of sneaky good last year, but again, he's probably like one of the better guys on your waiver wire right now, and that's probably where I'll be for most of the year. Tannehill, I don't know. I'm not really buying this offense yet. Drake hasn't looked good, so stay away from your Dolphins. On the Bengals side, Gio Bernard is definitely a nice play as long as Mixon's out. Once Mixon comes back, he's probably like bottom of your bench, but I don't know. I love Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd is like a really, really good player. He didn't score a touchdown, but he had an outstanding game this week. And him and AJ Green, like, you want both. These guys are legit wide receiver 1, and I would say Tyler Boyd's a wide receiver 2 right now.
Yeah, I think for the Dolphins, Tannehill, yikes. I think you just chalk it up to good game planning by the Patriots, but that was a brutal come back to earth moment last week with 0 points. So he's a QB2, right? We've always said that. If you needed to plug him in, do it, but don't play him over any like the typical stars like Russell Wilson, even though he's struggling. Tom Brady, play those guys over Tannehill. He's your bench bye week filling guy. No running backs I like here. Like, don't pick up Frank Gore, just don't do it. But I'm pretty worried about Kenyon Drake, so he's a bench guy until he can prove it otherwise. But yeah, I think the Bengals, Dalton is a solid QB2. I'd rather have Dalton than Tannehill this year. Bernard got banged up this past week, so check his health. But the tight end situation, Tyler Eifert, I feel bad for that guy. That was the most disgusting injury I've seen in a long time. His foot was like another direction. And you might think Tyler Kroft is the next guy up, but it might be CJ Uzomah. He's not going to replace the production that Eifert had, but he ran 26 of 43 routes once Eifert went out, and he's had 31 plus snaps each game this year, even with Eifert. So Uzomah, like, don't pick him up necessarily, but if you're looking for a tight end or if you just lost Eifert and no one else is on your waivers and you're a deep league, Uzomah is probably the guy over Kroft.
You know, we're in the thick of it in the fantasy season when we're talking about CJ Uzomah and Tyler Kroft. That's just how terrible tight end is. Yikes. Yeah. Get well soon, Tyler Eifert. We feel for you, man.
Yeah.
Okay, still looking for a name for this next segment. Interesting matchups. Get active in the channels, people, because honestly, I'm getting sick of saying it. We need something better than this.
Yeah, it sucks.
With that being said,
was it probably Rob's?
Nah, I think it might have actually been mine. I just figured that's the easiest way to categorize the games. In all honesty, though, these games could be pretty nice this week. We're going to start with the Giants at the Panthers. Obviously, the Giants are not like an NFL powerhouse, but fantasy-wise, definitely a team to keep in mind. I don't know. They just keep losing. And Odell is not getting in the end zone, so we're going to start there. Like, I don't think he's a wide receiver 2. I still think he's a wide receiver 1. But again, he's not giving you the return that you're looking for from, a top 13 pick, maybe mostly a top 10 pick. I don't know, with Sterling Shepard kind of emerging, this very, very interesting dynamic moving forward for the Giants. Saquon, plug him in, RB1. And then on the Panthers side, McCaffrey, off that 28 carry, 180-plus yard game. I mean, is he like a top 5 running back for the rest of the year as long as they give him the ball that much? I think so.
Yeah, I think he's got to incorporate touchdowns a little bit more. He's got to get more touchdowns, and then he'll be a top 5 running back for me. He's like top 10 easily right now for me, though. But yeah, the Giants. Okay, see if you can guess the last time they had 30 or more points. The Giants.
Before they had Ben McAdoo as their head coach.
Yeah, actually, technically, so it was January 3rd, 2016.
Jesus,
36 straight games without scoring 30 or more points. I didn't fact check that, but I've gotten a lot of like double, triple checked it. I haven't checked myself like each individual game, but that's pretty bad. So I don't know if it's Eli. I'm gonna guess and assume it's Eli because he's been pretty much the quarterback every single game except for that one aberration with Geno Smith. Odell low end wide receiver 1 until he gets in the end zone. He's a target hog, so he's getting a ton of targets still. So opportunity's still there. And then Sterling Shepard, as long as Evan Engram is out, he's a wide receiver 2 PPR guy. But yeah, the Panthers, I still like Funchess as a flex. I don't think he's anything more than that. He has the most targets for wide receivers on the team, and he's the second best receiver behind McCaffrey. So I think you could plug him in the flex, but just dampen expectations. For those of you that don't know this website, 538.com, excellent website, elite. But it takes like all these predictive intelligence and pretty much integrates them all into one, and it takes win probability for each team in each game. So they have the Panthers 80% chance of winning this game against the Giants, which is, I think, the biggest win probability this week. So if you're a betting person, definitely put some money on the Panthers at home. And this website is like very, very accurate. I think they had the Eagles as with more win probability against the Patriots in the Super Bowl this past year. So
wow,
very accurate.
I love that plug. You're welcome, 538. Sponsor us. All right, let's head up to the NFC North, where the Packers are traveling to Detroit, take on the Lions. Again, the Packers, as long as Rodgers is back there and like standing, they're I think the top team in the NFC North. The Vikings are a little bit worse than last year, so again, that should be a really fun division as things kind of straighten out down the stretch. On the Packers side, Aaron Jones, absolute stud. I'm pleading with you to put him in your fantasy lineup, and I'm also pleading with the Packers coaching staff. Can you please give him more to do because he is outstanding.
Seriously, Jesus.
He's so much better than every other running back on the roster. Aaron Jones, plug him in. On the Lions side, Stafford, he's back. Thank God. Golden Tate looks phenomenal. That combo has just been so good the last couple of years, and it looks like it's at its like peak right now. Golden Tate, PPR wise, is like a very high end wide receiver 2, and Stafford definitely QB1. Again, Kerryon Johnson is almost in that Aaron Jones mold. Also, he needs more work, and he's a very good player, so he's kind of in that flex territory for the moment.
Yeah, one thing I'll say is the Lions, 538 has the Lions as a 60% chance winning this game over the Packers.
No
shot. So the Packers just had a cushy... Well, think about it. Like, the Packers had a cushy matchup against the Bills. Yeah, they're 2-1-1, but defense is an issue. The Lions are terrible, but they're kind of like the little brother in that division, the NFC North, to the Packers, who have been dominating that division for quite some time. So could be... Like the Lions got embarrassed week 1 at home too, so could be like a little role reversal here. But yeah, I think LeGarrette Blount for some reason is getting too much work. I think Kerryon Johnson needs a little bit more. He's the definition of like high risk, high reward for this week.
All right, let's look at probably one of the most intriguing matchups, maybe of the year.
Or interesting.
I mean, I'm trying to use like synonyms right now. The Jaguars going to Arrowhead to take on the Chiefs, and this is obviously the most interesting because of one side of the ball. So the Chiefs offense against that Jaguars defense. What do the Chiefs do against, I still think, the best defense in the league? Mahomes, you got to plug him in. I think he's matchup proof. I think what will probably get hurt the most is like the wide receiver 2 spot here with like Sammy Watkins. Whoever's hurt, whoever's in there is not going to really go off because they're going to probably get AJ Boye. Tyreek Hill. Look, I love Jalen Ramsey, but Tyreek Hill is just a walking 80-yard touchdown, so you really can't afford to bench him, even though this matchup's subpar. And Hunt is back. Hunt is absolutely back. Very excited about his options moving forward, his outlook moving forward.
Yeah, I think one guy on the Jaguar. So 538. I'm going to keep on referencing this because I think it's so interesting and really accurate. Don't forget, this is at Arrowhead, and the Chiefs are insanely good at home. I'm going to have been for a few years with Andy Reid. They have a 68% chance win. My God, 68% chance to win this game. Can't speak. One guy in the Jaguars I want to highlight is D.D. Westbrook. He outshined Keelan Cole completely, and it's kind of like Russian roulette figuring out which wide receiver to play week to week here between the two of them. So I think the Jets had a lot of holes in their secondary, so I'd wait and see on D.D. Westbrook, but definitely add him. And hold on to Cole for another week or two. One thing I'll mention is if you're not 0-4 with Leonard Fournette, I commend you. I don't know how this guy is easily one of the biggest disappointments of the year so far. The 2 games he's played, he's gotten taken out of the game. So hopefully you have TJ Yeldon. Yeldon's a pretty good play for the foreseeable future for a couple of weeks until Fournette. I'm not going to play Fournette the week he says he's healthy because I don't trust it at all one fucking bit. It's killing me in the league that the loser gets a spray tan at the end of the year. Yeah, it's fucking killing me. It's eating me up inside.
He's going to find his way on the shit list. Imagine, Scott, just imagine those people out there that took Leonard Fournette and Dalvin Cook at the 1-2 turn in their drafts.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Probably a lot of people, honestly.
Yeah, so yikes. Hopefully things look up for both those guys as we move forward. Let's look at the Raiders and the Chargers. The Raiders are just like all over the place. Their offense is like sneaky good. Their defense is a absolute tire fire. I don't know what to expect out of this game. Both these teams are awful on defense, so this should be a track meet. But again, you never know because these are two of the more inconsistent franchises we have in the league. The Raiders, Marshawn Lynch, somehow still a solid RB2. This guy defies age. And I mean, I was lower on him this year than last year, but what's happening right now is what I thought was going to happen last year. I just want to point that out. Amari Cooper, I don't know what to do with you, man. You're in my lineup this week because just basically out of necessity, and I really, really hope things go the right way. Jared Cook, though, 2 touchdowns. Right now, I think he's the number 1 tight end in fantasy. I don't know. He's like, I'm waiting for like the clock to strike midnight on Jared Cook. But again, like if he's on your waiver wire, you might as well.
Yeah, he's handling 21% of the target share this year from Derek Carr. Derek Carr is like erratic this year too, but yeah, he looks like a top 5 tight end, and he looks like what we said about Delaney Walker when he emerged. Delaney Walker was like 31 years old. With the Titans, his first year of the Titans, or second year with the Titans. He got 800 yards, 7 touchdowns. Jared Cook, he's coming into his own at age 31, handling 21% of that target share, it seems sustainable. Amari Cooper, the one thing I'll say about Amari Cooper is plug him into your flex, but know the know the limitations. He might get 1 catch. If you're okay with that, go ahead. But I would like pair him with 2 steady Eddie guys. If you have like Adam Thielen and a guy that's constant, like Jarvis Landry, who's pretty high floor, you could plug in Amari Cooper and feel okay about it because you're going to get points out of your wide receivers anyway. But one guy that I'll say is very boomer bust, the same as Amari Cooper, is Mike Williams. 1 catch or 2 catches this past week. I think 2 for 25 quiet. Or something. Very quiet, but we were expecting some games like that. But yeah, the 2 I want to talk about is Melvin Gordon, and Austin Eckler. It's one of the best 1-2 punches, honestly, in the league. Yeah. It's probably the Saints have the best running back tandem. Then I would say the Broncos, and then the Chargers are right up there. So I'd plug in Eckler as a flex guy. Yeah,
I would even say the Chargers tandem is better than the Broncos. I know
probably is.
Again, yeah. I mean, Melvin Gordon is just lights out. I was saying to my brother the other day, Melvin Gordon is the guy that will go at the end of the first round next year for no reason. This guy's a rock solid top 5 running back. He just gets a ton of work, and he makes it happen. And it's despite Austin Eckler having a good season next to him. So those 2 guys I really like a lot.
Yeah, and sorry, one last thing about Mike Williams. This is one of the worst secondaries in the league. So boom or bust, like this is probably a boom week. You could probably plug him in even after getting burned last week.
What's our 538 on that game?
Oh, good call.
Wait, let me guess. I'm going to guess first. Let me guess.
Yeah, guess it. See what you got.
I would say Chargers at like 70%, maybe. That's what I would guess.
73. Yep.
Oh, nice.
Chargers at 73. If they had home fans in their home stadium, that would be probably better. But they don't have any fans in their soccer stadium, so who knows?
It's gonna be full of Raiders. The Raiders are about to move, so
black hole. Yeah.
Okay, let's look at our game of the week contenders. This one, NFC Championship game rematch. The Vikings going to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Oh my. Both these teams have had better seasons defensively, and for the personnel, they're not playing up to snuff, but offenses look really good with the respective quarterbacks. So Kirk Cousins, with these weapons, he's a top 5 quarterback, I would say. Dalvin Cook, like we said before, he bench him until we know that he's not going to be on a pitch count. It might not be this week. Again, it might not be next week either. I don't know. I'm holding off on Dalvin Cook. As bullish as I am on him, you got to put him on your bench for the time being.
Yeah, I'm not playing him until I find, like, for sure know he's not on a pitch count. One thing I'll say about these defenses, I think this is going to be an offensive juggernaut game here. Trey Waynes, the second cornerback of the Vikings, got hurt last week with a concussion. I don't know if he's going to play this week. They're still not saying, but that could bode well for Nelson Aguilar. I know he's in the slot, but they line him up all over the place. I think Alshon Jeffrey is going to be huge this week too. I don't think this is as hard of a matchup as it once was. Xavier Rhodes has been pretty ineffective this season so far, and he got torched by the Rams last week on Thursday night. So yes, they've had more time to prepare for this game, but they're on the road again at the Eagles, and the Eagles just came off a terrible loss to the Titans, so I think they're going to be pissed. But yeah, I would bench Dalvin Cook until otherwise proven. And then for the Eagles, Jay Ajayi is playing through a broken back. The guy has a fracture in his back.
Jesus, I didn't know that.
I don't know if you want to pick up Wendell Smallwood or, Corey Clement was hurt. Darren Sproles has been out for the past couple of games besides week 1. So it's just kind of a logjam mess. I think Jay is a low end running back too, but you need to like get some insurance if you have Dalvin Cook and Jay as your top 2 running backs, like you got to play both. But I would pick up Wendell Smallwood as like the backup behind Ajayi.
So this should be what was once expected to be a defensive battle. This could actually be a shootout here, hopefully, for fantasy purposes.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. 538 was Vikings and Eagles.
I don't even know where to guess. I couldn't even tell you. I would say Eagles are favored by like slight, maybe like 55-45. I don't know.
70-30 Philly.
No way.
So Philly is projected to win 70%. I think Minnesota is like they're not as good as we thought they were coming into the year. I don't know. Defense is kind of in shambles right now.
I guess we got to wait and see.
And Everson Griffin, the one of the best pass rushers in the game, has some mental health issues, so hope he gets better soon. But he's probably going to be out until at least week 6. So that really that doesn't help the defense at all either.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have to wait and see on those two. Let's look at the Falcons and the Steelers. This game could break the 100-point mark, and I'm not saying that as a joke.
Honestly.
Good sign for Bell. He's going to report during week 7. I'm just throwing this out there, though. It's going to be so awkward when he gets in there that I don't know. I would say they're probably going to use him to probably try to split some time with James Conner at this point, just based on
probably
all the stuff that went down. I don't know what you're doing with Le'Veon Bell, but we can get into that another time. You're playing your Falcons here. I know I mentioned trading LaShawn McCoy earlier in the show, and this might sound nuts to you guys, but I traded him for Calvin Ridley. I don't care what regression stats you're about to throw at me, Scott. Calvin Ridley is just straight up fun to watch, and LaShawn McCoy is not, and for that reason, I'm fine with my trade.
There you go, and we've always said you got to be excited about the guys you have on your team. You're excited about Calvin Ridley. You're not about LaShawn McCoy. Great trade for you. You feel good about it, right?
I absolutely feel good about it. It was just a pit in my stomach looking at LaShawn McCoy on my roster, so it's gone now.
Yeah, and let me be a little Debbie Downer for you. Calvin Ridley, I didn't think he was going to get 2 touchdowns this past week. This is very similar to Will Fuller last year. So everyone was saying he can't keep it up. He can't keep it up. Will Fuller kind of did, but then as soon as Deshaun Watson went down, Will Fuller didn't. He got a touchdown on 40% of his catches. Will Fuller last year, pretty similar to Calvin Ridley, who had 5 touchdowns in 2 games. 6 touchdowns in 3 games, 5 and 2. This is an ideal time to sell high on Matt Ryan. I think after this week, this is going to be a shootout. After this week, Matt Ryan is a sell high candidate. He has a pretty tough schedule after that. One quote, I'm gonna quote ESPN on this. I know you don't like ESPN that much, but Calvin Ridley has scored 6 touchdowns on 15 receptions, nowhere close to sustainable. He had 28 routes this past week and 6 targets in week 4. So he's not even seeing enough work to keep him in the flex conversation. Mohamed Sanu had 36 routes. Same with Julio Jones. Mohamed Sanu had 9 targets. Ridley had 6 targets. So Ridley's doing a lot more with his targets, but Julio is allergic to the end zone. So I think that's why he's getting so many points, is because Matt Ryan has this new toy that he could throw into the end zone, and he'll catch it, unlike Julio. So I just don't know if Ridley is going to continue at that pace. He has some easy matchups. Obviously, Pittsburgh is a very easy matchup. Tampa Bay is the week after, but I think he's going to crash down to earth as well. He's a sell high candidate to me too. But yeah, I think the Steelers, James Conner is like a flex guy now, maybe a low end running back too, but he's just a loner for the next 2 weeks. Ryan Switzer is the slot guy. He's a good deep league PPR play, but he was only on the field for 18 pass routes and he got 7 catches this past week. So I think 7 catches. So like a uninspiring deep league flex guy, kind of like Cole Beasley.
Calvin Ridley, don't listen to Scott. Okay, I believe in you. Let's make this work. Let's make this happen, me and you. All right, let's look at the Ravens and the Browns. I'm shocked every time we see the Browns in a category that's not the quick hitters, but again, they just had an absolute shootout this week. So the Ravens and the Browns, sneaky good offenses. Let's take a look at them. With the Ravens, Joe Flacco, I mean, he's a good NFL quarterback at the moment, but I don't think he's a fantasy play for anybody. John Brown is my guy. John Smokey Brown, or also known as Smoke. Absolute stud. I think he's a high-end flex for the rest of the year. I think he's the number 1 option on this Ravens passing offense.
I agree with that, yeah.
And then on the Brown side, I don't know what's going on now with Carlos Hyde and Nick Chubb, but definitely some interesting dynamics coming to fruition.
Yeah, so I'll go Browns really quick. Nick Chubb is a speculative ad after 2 insane touchdown runs. Carlos Hyde is still the guy you want, but I think towards the end of the year, maybe the latter half, like the last 6 to 7 games, Chubb is going to be more even. As much as I hate to say that, but yeah, Hyde is still the guy. Plug him in. This is going to be a running defensive plotter this game. So I want to talk about Flacco. I think so. Like the running back Collins, he's a solid play. I think this will be a gutsy game, like I just said. But Flacco had look at his pass catchers from last year. His top 3 last year were Mike Wallace, Brashad Perryman, and Jeremy Maclin. Right? Mike Wallace is on the IR this year. Brashad Perryman has had 5 visits to teams, hasn't been signed yet. Jeremy Maclin, free agent. Those were his 3 top receivers last year.
Yeah, wow.
So he didn't have shit last year. He had a broken or a busted back right in the preseason. Came out of the gate struggling. This year, he has attempted 10 passes that have traveled 30-plus yards. Only Matt Ryan has attempted more. And the chemistry among these pass catchers with John Brown, one of the league's best deep threats, is insane. Crabtree's kind of like the in-between the tackles kind of receiver, like tough receiver that he's needed. So I really like Flacco as like a mid-tier QB2. I'd rather have him than like Tannehill in that tier and Dalton too.
Added bonus, if you own a Raven and you're like tuning into their games, you get to see the absolute contempt Joe Flacco has about being split out wide when they bring in Lamar Jackson, who, by the way, is right now what I would say is a poor man's Taysom Hill. So, I mean, hopefully he gets more work soon.
Yeah, he is.
But it's really great to just see. It's basically, I've never seen anything like it outside of like Jay Cutler. He just hates the fact that Lamar Jackson comes into the game.
Yeah, so Baltimore is a 76% win probability for this game away. And then Falcons, I don't think I did the 538 stat for Falcons Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is projected 57% chance to win over the Falcons.
Yeah, that one's a toss-up, honestly. It's basically whoever comes to play in Pittsburgh and Atlanta, they're going to win.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, let's look at our last game of the week. So we have the Rams at the Seahawks. I don't know what we're getting out of the Seahawks, but I definitely know what we're getting out of the Rams. We're getting Jared Goff, top 5 QB. We're getting Todd Gurley, top 2, probably top 1 running back. All 3 wide receivers are starts every week because you just never know what's going to happen. And even on their off days, they're getting enough volume to be usable. So you're starting any Ram you own. Let's put it that way. On the Seahawks side, things are much more unclear. Doug Baldwin, possibly back. I don't know what you think that does for them, Scott. What are you looking at with Doug Baldwin?
Yeah, Rams play them all. Doug Baldwin, that takes away a lot of looks from Tyler Lockett. So they have pretty similar like pass routes and routes run. But Brandon Marshall is droppable. David Moore, the rookie, ran 10 more pass routes than Brandon Marshall. So I don't think you're picking him up, but very deep league, you can maybe look for him. But yeah, I think Lockett takes a hit to like the first guy off your bench. Not droppable yet. And Baldwin is a speculative flex play, but Russ is really scaring me. He's not a top 10 quarterback right now. He's getting hit at like record levels. He's getting sacked, and the run game is too inconsistent. They just had Mike Davis, who's filling in for Chris Carson with 2 touchdowns, but Rashad Penny looks like a bust so far this year. He's droppable in redraft leagues, and I don't know. This team isn't too good.
What are the chances that Russell Wilson is not on the Seahawks in 2 seasons?
Should I look at 538 for that? Honestly, I don't see him leaving, but I think they need to do a lot in the offseason for him to want to stay. I think he's like too nice to like say
true,
be like pissed off. He's not like an Earl Thomas who flips off his own sideline, which is hilarious, by the way. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's like a 65% chance he's going to stay, but there's an off chance if they don't turn it around defensively and run game wise, like or even offensive fucking line, like they don't have one. It's not looking good. One guy that is the next man up for the Seahawks, Will Dissly, is out for the year. I think he broke his foot. Wilson throws 25% of his targets to tight ends. So Nick Vanette was the next guy up. He ran 20 of 28 possible snaps from the tight end position. So again, deep league guy like David Moore, but Wilson's got to throw it somewhere. And if he's not throwing it to Baldwin or Lockett, he might throw it to Vanette, the tight end. All right, that does it for Week 5 preview. Rob? Still nowhere. Crickets. Unbelievable. Yeah, our fearless producer will hopefully be back next week if he's on a business trip or something. But yeah, Week 5, it's already a third of the way through the season, like we said. This is where, like we said in Week 1, don't bench your studs. You can bench your Dalvin Cooks right now. You can bench your Leonard Fournettes. We already know what they're like. 4 weeks is enough to really get a feel on how they're going to do this year. So don't overthink it. But if you don't have a good feeling about your stud like Dalvin Cook, and you know he's on a pitch count, don't play him.
Yeah, absolutely. This is also officially trade season. It's happening. This is where most of the trades happen, like I would say probably weeks 5 through 8, because guys are starting to panic. You might be like 1-3, you might be 0-4, trying to turn things around. This is the time where you're gonna really want to make sure you get the most value out of your trades, right? So if you're sitting on a team that has Pat Mahomes, Jared Goff, and Kirk Cousins, you probably want to trade one or more of your quarterbacks, just as a little hint, okay? But maximize your value. Make sure that you feel good about your lineup, especially as the bye weeks start to pile up, because they're coming. There's more than 2 teams out in the next couple of weeks, so a lot to keep in mind as we move forward.
Yeah, some trade targets too that should turn it up in the second half of the season. Aaron Jones on the Packers, Kerryon Johnson on the Lions, Devin Funchess on the Panthers. Just to name a few, Joe Mixon, I would buy him low while you still can, because he's out with injury, but should be back in the next week or two. These are all guys to think about, like trading for. Maybe even David Johnson, you can snatch him up. I know he did pretty well this week, but not like a top 2 running back like he used to be. So try to capitalize on some like buy low targets like those guys in trade season. Season of trades. Well, see you later, brother.
Well, stay active in the channels. Almost forgot to throw that in there, but get active in those channels.
Stay active, brother.
Well, see you later, brother.